So the next thing I wanted to discuss, and not only did I want to discuss it, truthfully at this point, it needs to be discussed because they are truly doing this man such a disservice. He's playing his best season, in my opinion, he's ever played in the league. And yes, I'm saying when you put this in tangent with MVP season, because yes, the MVP season was special on the ground, and yes, Lamar MVP. But let me just say, in terms of passing, in terms of decision making, in terms of him actually throwing the ball, this is his best year so far. And his receiving core, the Ravens receiving core, a bunch of sellers. It's becoming a hot topic, and it has to, because this falls, in my opinion, on the organization's shoulders, right? This was a thing we all kind of saw coming. And by we, I just mean the NFL populace as a whole. If you're into the NFL, it's kind of like, yeah, the Ravens have, like we said last week, they're really, really solid at like everything, and they're not elite at anything. But if you had to pick out the group that's like, oh man, it's the receiving core. And there's been a little, there's always been like optimism here and there, like, oh, is Bateman going to make the jump? Like, oh, we added Zay Flowers. Like, Zay Flowers is for sure like a certified number one, yada, yada. And don't get me wrong. I think Zay has great upside, and I think Zay is going to be a good receiver for a long period of time. However, right now, this year, he's clearly not an absolute go-to number one in plenty of situations. It just is what it is, as we've seen. So we're in a situation now where the Ravens are completely ready to compete for the Lombardi, but you got a group of receivers that genuinely, I think they come out with like, I don't know what if they were like holding like a beef jerky stick or something, or eating something like that with the gloves on pre-game. It's looking like this somebody's passing out the wrong snacks or something, because every single receiver, this has been a problem at this point, where the drop rate is out of control. Last week specifically, so many balls Lamar was delivering right on the money. I mean, literally like touchdown balls where it's like, and just inexcusable.
2 touchdowns are dropped.
No, and that's just not just this game, but two from this game. So we're at a point now where genuinely they're taking multiple touchdowns off the board for him, taking up hundreds of yards off the board, literally. Where does this offense go? Because again, like we were saying back to the whole before the year thing, the writing on the wall was, look, right, signing OBJ sounds cool, right? But if he can't stay healthy and he doesn't come back playing like he was before the injury, really, what is this receiving core? And this is what it is. A group of solid blockers that have butterfingers. And unfortunately, like I said, I'm giving Zay the benefit of the doubt. Zay's young, good talent. I think Zay looks like how a lot of young receivers look. They're inconsistently consistent and they make splash plays. And he does the right things you want to see from him, and he's got great talent. But he's not number one right now. And for a Super Bowl contending team, I just think, to be honest, they've put Lamar into a dire situation where, like I'm saying, and he's playing at his best level. So we'll pull up the stats from this year. So this year so far, Lamar's thrown 10,030 yards. He's thrown at basically a 70% clip. The 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Again, the touchdown number should be much higher. And then, my apologies, the way this. And we go down to the rushing. Again, 265 yards on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns. He puts up 50. Hold on, my apologies. Puts up 53 yards a game, basically, on average. And it's like, we know what Lamar does with his legs. Lamar's amazing. Lamar should be winning more games, and it's because this receiving. I mean, they should have beat the Steelers this week, right? Your team that should be 4-1. That's worst case scenario, where normally you can kind of like, if you blame one guy, it's tough, and it's like, yeah, but it feels better that you can just put it on one guy. When you're the Ravens at this point, you're like 4 guys every single week that are playing 40 plus snaps a week, where you're putting it all of them, and you're like, yeah, I'm terrified of all those guys touching the ball. Terrible situation to be in. So what's your opinion on how the Ravens need to handle this? Where do they go from here? What's the situation looking like in the future?
Yeah, so here's my opinion on this. I like Zay Flowers. I like OBJ. I am indifferent on Rashad Bateman and indifferent on Aguilar. And it's just like, it feels like Lamar, the main reason he held out is not because of the guaranteed money, but because like they had refused to put an offense around him. And I think Lamar knew who he was, and he was probably like, I'm not going to continue to go out here and carry the offense and then be told I'm the issue, not by the Ravens organization, but by the media and all that stuff. Can he throw the ball? Can he do this? And then, he's PFF's second graded passer this year, right behind Jared Goff. And you know how electric Jared Goff and the Lions offense is looking. So I guess my thing is like, I don't know, man. Like, they went and got him guys But like imagine Lamar with like a DJ Moore. Like what Justin is being able to do with DJ Moore has like even these last 2 games has really like changed your perception of like possibly what Justin can do. And the guys that got him, it's just like Zay Flowers isn't a number 1 to me. Like I would have rather them went with Jordan Addison.
He's a great slot. That's exactly. But and to your point, it's like this with the DJ Moore thing. Does this not feel like deja vu? Has this not been every year of his career? We're like, oh wow, imagine if they just gave him any type of elite talent at the receiver. I mean, we keep having to imagine. They refuse.
They dropped 7 balls on Sunday.
Here's what makes no sense too. They gave OBJ a bag. Why didn't you give the bag to someone who was going to produce at that level? It doesn't even make sense to me.
I would have rather them traded that first round pick and like maybe like a third for T. Higgins.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I know Ravens fans are going to be like, well, it's just a 1-year bag. Yeah, well, guess what? It's 1 year. It's $15 million out the door regardless. You might as well have given the $15 million to somebody over a 3-year period that you were actually faithful that it was going to be long, like there was going to be longevity.
Well, then honestly, it just pushes the problem till next year because let's say they win a playoff game this year. Okay, you're back to Zay Flowers being your wide receiver 1. Like, are you going to draft another first round receiver? Like, are you like, you have to go. Mark Andrews, to me, like, he's really good too. And like, you always got to throw him in there as like a pass catcher. But like, I just think also another thing too that we're not talking about, like while you're talking about the pass catchers, is like, their running backs can never stay healthy. And like, I like Gus Edwards is next as much as the next guy. And like, I've never been too high on J.K. Dobbins. And I've kind of been like, go get like a better running back in there. I almost feel like we could see like the Ravens elevate if they got like a top talent guy. Like imagine throwing like a Saquon or a Josh Jacobs in that offense. I would rather give them $15 million than OBJ.
So you know what? Fuck it. Wasn't even thinking about it. But not only yet, now that you're mentioning it, it just adds insult to injury because they've never given the man, truthfully, and this is the thing. So I'm respectful to him because I loved him coming out of college. J.K. Dobbins, talented guy, he's got a great skill set. He just can't stay healthy. And when you got a guy with a great skill set that can't stay healthy, the skill set at the moment is as good as useless, right?
Yeah.
My point when I'm saying this is the Ravens have literally never given this man anybody at the elite in the backfield or in front of him.
No.
And to the point now, I'm going to bring it up on the side. Let's just call it for what it is. Tyler Linderbaum's the only offensive line playing good on the team right now, right? It's like, and he's still making it work. They still are a good offense. They're making it work. They're not a battle line. I'm just saying that he's playing it he's playing at a really good level, as you point at Tyler Linderbaum. My point why I'm saying this, again, all this stuff comes back to, if you gave the man even just one elite and really above average running back, even to your point, because I love Gus. But yes, you want to see maybe Gus being in tangent with someone else who's a little more electric. You give him a little zoom and boom kind of combo. They don't have that. If you just had anything like that, but that's why I'm getting pissed off, is it keeps having to be, imagine Lamar with this. Why can't the Ravens just go like, yeah, I'm tired of imagining. Let's have the most electric offense in the league. If you imagine if you gave Mike McDaniel Lamar right now. I mean, you get my point off of that, but you get my point. I'm saying, would the Ravens not want to be in a situation like that? Clearly fucking not.
I don't really understand, like, don't get me wrong, their defense is really, really good. But like you said, like, they just can't stay healthy. I just, it's kind of like a little bit reminiscent of kind of like the Patriots offense. It's like, we don't need these guys. We're good enough.
I literally was just thinking about that. And I say the big difference, and the only difference really to an extent, is just you a guy like Tom, you can force him to work like that. He's never going to move. With Lamar, it's like you can't force him. Just sit still and wait for these really slow receivers to make their break and maybe get open. Like, because that's the way Lamar doesn't play that same way. Like you say, Lamar's not like, yes, he has cerebral moments and all that, but in a sense, he does not play like the Brock Purdy style, the Brady style, like check. It's more like, I'm going to check, I'm going to start moving, I'm going to feel out of the pocket. Like, that's just how he is. That's how every quarterback has to play their strengths. That has to be Lamar. That is Lamar. And don't get me wrong, he's been killing in the pocket this year. I'm just saying, you don't want to force him to have to be a statue. That's stupid. When you have someone like him and his talent, you got to use it accordingly, right? That's what it comes down to.
It's just like, I mean, I don't really have much else to say on this. It's just like, you've really exhausted, I feel like, your options at receiver if Nelson Aguilar is like a good number 5. Like, it's just like, they got him help, but I just think like kind of like not in the same sense, but the same like process of like when Poles traded for Claypool for the Bears. Right idea, wrong execution. Like
and a lot of people saw the fucking writing on the wall again for that. Like we were definitely people again. I think you guys were trying to be more favorable towards it because you're the team who are in the receiving end. You're not going to be not optimistic for no reason. Right?
We had to.
But the reality of the time was like I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, that could be like any receiver you want basically outside the first round at worst case scenario.
Yeah,
it's like what the I don't know.
That's
just they definitely did.
Josh Downs could have been. Yeah,
it's just it should have been Joey Porter Jr. to be honest. But
yeah,
Joey Porter Jr. should have been a Bear. Headline of the day. So fucked up.
But yeah, no, I mean that's all you had on the Ravens.
No, yeah, I think we covered all the bases though. And last thing I didn't even include Mark Andrews just because Mark Andrews is a beast. But again, you can't if you're just giving it's literally the Patriots 2.0 fake Patriots like you were saying. But you cannot expect Lamar to make a masterclass of that because that's just not the style that you want to force him to play. It just all comes down to. You got to let the man play to his strengths, as you should.